Good afternoon, guys. Back again this week. Sorry, last week was a no-show. I was AWOL due to being unwell with a very bad fever for a few days. Seems to have been going around. Quite a few people I've spoken to have actually had it. It was about 40 and a half degrees for a few days, so I was unable to do my weekly forecast. I traded one day this week. Didn't post too much on the Instagram as I wasn't still too much with it. But effectively made 3R this week, which wasn't a great week, but I only traded one day and one scenario. So back to the grind from next week. Jumping straight into the forecast. On a higher level time frame, we can see that the market has retraced on the bearish momentum, that it was. And we're running up into a weekly demand that seems to be holding quite well over the past few weeks. Now, this demand is holding, and we also have lower time frame demands within the weekly demand that are still sitting below the level that price currently is respecting. So we're kind of expecting the price to kind of respect this zone and possibly show some form of a bounce off this. Either we bounce off this and we get up to areas of weekly supply and liquidity above to then reverse down bearish again, or this bounce is minimal into areas of inefficiency and imbalance that we can see being left behind in previous weeks, to then only take those zones and then drop early rather than reaching up for the supply up top. So that is the overall bias that we're looking at in the interim. However, when we go down into lower time frames, we can see that there are areas of interest that we can see. Fair value gaps have been filled here where the market came down, took out these lows, went back, retraced into this fair value gap, and then kind of continued bearish. Hasn't been a great scenario this week, as there's been a lot of wicks in both directions, and it was quite difficult to work off zones, it seems, because the market was actually in the middle of nowhere, no man's land, and effectively it was kind of wicking up and down due to geopolitical factors, news, etc. So it was a dangerous week to trade. The bias was bearish. If you'd gotten early in the week, then you would have been good to kind of hold until the end of the week. We've ended up with a rejection candle at the end of the week, which kind of taps very close to the 50% on the weekly demand candle that we saw earlier on. But there is multiple areas of liquidity that is still lying below us. So there is still scope for price to possibly drive down as a result of what it does this week, or beginning of the week to then pull off bullish out of. If we go down into lower time frames, we can see that the price has been very flat over the previous month, and even though the week was bearish overall, it has not been any great moves, to be honest with you, that materialized. We can see from the 5th to the 9th, which is the week that's gone past, effectively there's a move of 184 pips, which could have been had from tail end of last week into this week, but it all depended upon how you manage the trade going through the week. It has been flat, as I said, throughout the week, so no real great confidence to hold trades long term, and it was actually bouncing off a lower level demand here as well before it actually took that demand and then dropped towards the end of the week. So we're looking at price to possibly come up out of this bounce that it's kind of hit into, I think it's a 4-hour demand here. Yeah, we are just sitting above 4-hour demand at the moment. So we want to see how the market reacts. It has formed a liquidity grab of these lows down here. So effectively it's come out of that zone. We want to see how it kind of reacts on the lower time frame to areas of interest that we've got just above us on the 15-minute time frame, which are these two zones here. If it kind of breaks out of these, then we want to kind of see it kind of target higher areas of liquidity up here and possibly supply from beginning in the week to then reverse bearish again. But that is the bias that I'm looking at. We're looking at a continuation bounce from this demand zone to go bullish, or to come out of the demand that is already tapped on the weekly 50%, come out of this, reject, and then kind of go for deeper sells. Again, we'll see how the week transpires, But that's the forecast 5 minutes again for this week. I will be back next week on Instagram and YouTube. I believe I have answered all questions and DMs that I've had thus far. But if there's anything else, please do drop me a message on Instagram, and I'll try and get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you.